Really interesting between these two teams with a lot to play for. Like RMC said, 4th place on the line. Let's get into it.
All right, we've had 2 interesting games so far, an impressive bounce-back performance from the Red Canids, and then, of course, as you just mentioned, Los Grandes with the upset win over 3rd place Fluxu. Now we'll see if maybe VKS can pull out an upset of their own. They're looking to stall this Loud charge to the playoffs, and Loud, despite the Lysandre buffs, they're going to go for a first pick LeBlanc here. RMC, what are your thoughts on that?
That shocked me, because I would expect you to leave the LeBlanc open if you're Loud with the potential Lysandre counter pick. That is basically a Tin-owns champion in CBLOL at this point. Very few other people are playing that Lysandre. Instead, with the static shift nerf, I am very, very surprised that Tin-owns has gone back to this Lysandre, that he's only played once. K-Stars, I like the Kai'Sa. I know I mentioned the stat about Xayah before, and Root's most played champion right now in CBLOL is Xayah. I expect to pick it. But Trigo's Kai'Sa kind of hits a little bit different, so I have faith, and VKS have faith, and VKS have always the best when they drop Comfort.
Yeah, and it is important to mention that the Kai'Sa has been Trigo's best pick this split, bar none. It's a pick that we've actually seen VKS even more willing to invest resources in this bot lane early on. When we talk about this roster so often, we talk about, hey, Trigo and Damage largely looking to be kind of isolated, playing weak side in the early game, but when Trigo is on this Kai'Sa pick, Grell is more willing to go down to that bottom lane, and he might have to, considering it is going to be that Xayah counter pick for Root for that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Rakan. Oh, no. Okay. Robo picking up the Renekton for himself right now. And one thing we should touch on, first of all, the last time these two teams met, Robo played the K'Sante side of the K'Sante-Renekton matchup. But secondly, in one of the replays we saw earlier from last week against Lagoon, Robo's Renekton. It's not just Robo coming to playoff form, it's the fact that Loud is starting to play to their comfort zone, which has always been give Robo early resources, let him carry. And that's why Robo's Renekton last split looked like such a monster. If he's picking Renekton here again, okay, so I'm expecting to see Loud put early resources, early ganks onto that top half.
You talked about VKS picking for comfort with that Kai'Sa early for Trigo. They're double dipping. They're taking Gigo's best champ this split, the Gwen that he has been so good on. That matchup into this Renekton into the top lane, and then they also immediately follow that with the Rakan ban. They're not going to allow that Lovers duo for Loud in that bottom lane. Now, okay, that we've got the full picture of this top lane matchup, are you okay with this for VKS?
Yeah, I'm actually super happy we get to see the Gwen Renekton. The sort of signature champions for both of these top laners who we focused on so heavily earlier in the pre-game. So I'm hyped for the top lane. But the problem was the last time these two teams met, Loud won, and it wasn't through the top lane. It was everywhere else. So yeah, K-Stars right now still need to find answers. Kai'Sa and Xayah is already going to be rough. They need to find a favorable jungle mid to make their team pop off. So the Tristana ban, they're removing the physical champion, trying to force Trigo onto AD carries. Do we see a Chase ban to follow that Tristana for Loud?
Yeah, if you folks don't quite remember the last time these two teams met up back in week 3 of the split, it was Tin-owns and Root with deathless performances on Cassiopeia and Aphelios respectively. Very solid showings from the two of them, carrying Loud to a pretty convincing 32-minute win. So keep an eye on those two, but Robo definitely going to have more agency this time around, and we'll have to keep an eye on that matchup. Little focus towards the jungle. Surprising to see neither jungler picked up in the first phase of picks. That's fairly rare these days with things like the Ivern, Maokai, and Sejuani so high priority. Wukong and Viego taken off the table, and the Ivern and Maokai and Sedge. So heavy focus to that jungle. So we might see some new picks here this time around. The Victor going to be locked in there for Grevthar. What kind of junglers are you looking for here with these last few picks?
Well, as you rightly pointed out, the sort of 3 top meta junglers all got banned in the first phase. Even Poppy got taken out because Croc has been dominating on it. So I guess they've kind of just let it fall down a lot lower. And what's interesting as well is both Grell and Croc have been some of our historically at least, some of our more aggressive junglers. And that right there would fit the bill. I was actually thinking of that more for Grell, but if you want to lock that in for Croc, I'm down with it. Their Nocturne is still on the table if you want that. Vi did get nerfed a while ago, but still a champion that can be picked up the other side of Loud. You don't want to be picking the Vi if you are Cade Stars into that Xayah.
And of course, Loud now going to look for maybe a little bit of safety, maybe some engage. They have options here in support, hovering a handful of those tankier picks. The Braum would give them a little extra safety, though. Does feel a little unnecessary paired alongside a Xayah that, of course, has her own kind of safety and disengage in her kit. And they're going to go aggression. They're going to give Seos the Leona, give him the agency to make plays and start fights for this Loud team. And that feels just like a very well-rounded composition here for Loud.
Yeah, and I like it as well because I actually do think Leona wins that side of the matchup against Nautilus with the Eclipse. You gain the extra tankiness, and you beat a lot of these tanks in the 1v1. Grell!
Captain
Okay!
Flowers, where are you, my friend? Come to Brazil.
Skarner.
We've got Skarner.
I was trying to run through my head. What does Grell pick here? Your Viego's banned. Kindred got nerfed heavily. Won't do well to this comp anyways. You get kicked out. Vi, like we said, you don't want to pick that into a Xayah. And so Grell just whipped something completely new out. And I love it. I mean, I think a lot of Cade Star's strength is when they play a champion they're familiar with, but other teams aren't. And other teams don't quite know how to deal with it. And then I look at the champions on Loud as well. Skarner, lockdown is going to be king. You can't Featherstorm that lockdown. 4x4. Tell me you're excited, Zion.
I am. I'm
not sure of yourself.
I can hear him processing what he just saw as he speaks.
You can hear the gears turning in my head. I just don't know who you kind of like. You've got a lot of. Grell's gonna have his work cut out for him. I think that's where I'm landing. You have got some shifty champions on the side of Loud. If you can lock them down, it could be very high impact. We got a lot of big damage dealers. There isn't just like one singular focus, sort of like, you know, Blitzcrank, oh, you hook the Kog'Maw, you're going to be okay, even though that didn't end up happening in game one. But either way, yeah, I guess maybe it's just lock someone down and let Gwen cook. I have not casted a Skarner game, I think, ever, and I'm not going to get the chance to. I'm very jealous of you. But yeah, I don't know what to think here. I'm gonna put my cards on the table. I'm not sure about this pick.
Okay.
Go ahead, RFC.
Let me lay out the Skarner a little bit and why I'm so excited to see it. Not just because it's the non-meta pick, but also specifically, you mentioned the mobility 4x4 that Loud has. The thing is, all these mobile champions are really, really squishy. Lee Sin, Xayah, LeBlanc, if you impale them, you can potentially pop them. And once the numbers are down, it gets so much easier. And the best part, a lot of these guys want to play into you, so Scum doesn't even have to run them down.
Isn't Loud again, 4th place up for grabs. RMC and Yeso, take it away.
I believe that I am in a similar boat as 4x4. I'm thinking back through a very long catalog. I mean, I've casted a lot of League of Legends. I've been doing this for a long time, my friend, and I cannot, for the life of me, remember any Skarner games in my past. I've casted, you know, Kha'Zix Pentakills and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't think I've ever had Skarner, so I'm looking forward to it. Grell, you know, 4x4 said at the top, you could take, you know, you can put him on a you know, non-aggressive champ or whatever, but like Grell's still gonna do Grell things no matter what he's on, and I feel like this Skarner right up his alley.
Yeah, definitely. And the lanes that you can gank for Loud are actually pretty good as well. Mid will be difficult on that LeBlanc pre-6, but with the way a Leona and a Renekton likes to play, they're going to play aggressive. They're going to be extended, and that does give opportunities for Grell to find ganks into these lanes. The other thing that we have to remember with Skarner, because we see him so rarely, are the crystal spires on the map. There's a lot of territory and control that needs to come out from these teams. If you can take away a crystal spire, Skarner is significantly weaker, but if you're fighting Skarner within that territory, he's gonna beat out actually a lot of junglers in that 1v1 duel. So Croc, even on this aggressive Lee Sin who normally likes to invade other junglers, has to think twice against Skarner.
Control of the Crystal Spires will be key. Quick peek at the records for these Loud players on these specific champions. You mentioned, Root, that this Zaya has been very key for him. This split 4-2 on it. Interestingly enough, Trigo 4-2 on the Kaisa as well. So one of them will get 5 wins on their respective champion. The other will drop to 3 losses. And of course, that bot lane will be key. But let's talk about the top side. We focus so heavily on it, RMC, in the preparation. It is the Renekton and the Gwen matchup. What should people be looking out for when we take a look at the top side here? As Grefthar, a little early aggression from Croc, but not all that worse for wear.
Croc's like, if I can't find Grell, I'll go find someone else. Grefthar, let's punish him. Maybe go up to Gigo in the top lane. He's making a beeline right here. So, Renekton versus Gwen. That was actually a matchup we saw when Gwen first came out and she was considered completely busted. Basically, the options to beat a Gwen in the past used to be you outscale her, so you pick something like GP, maybe even a KO, or you beat her early. So Renekton was one of these sort of early game answers that you pick into a Gwen. Now, one thing to note is Robo is taking Flash Teleport. Gigo has taken Ignite Teleport. So Robo has to be a lot more careful all of a sudden on this Renekton. You don't auto-win these trades, and if you get kind of low, the Ignite could make a difference. And because of that, I need to see Loud send some pressure into that top lane. If you can get Robo ahead, he's going to stay ahead on this Renekton. But if you don't, the Gwen will outscale you and become a problem, not just for Robo, but for the entirety of Loud.
Big opportunity for both of these top laners to have a big say in how this game goes. We are going to get an early possible 2v2 here in this top lane as Grell comes out of the Tri-Brush. The fracture there will get the stun onto Croc, and Robo and his jungler do have to back away. And this is also going to be fun to watch. I can't imagine Loud have seen a good amount of Skarters as of late. So while we're talking about adjusting to this pick that we didn't expect in any way, I imagine Loud also has to do a bit of a very intentional mental adjustment around this champion.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like, you don't want this if you're Croc and Robo. You don't necessarily win this 2v2 at this point in the game. But Croc went in and partially to just test out the waters, right? Like, how does this interact? And you see with the fracture immediately coming through, Croc's going to take that information and know that, hey, if I go in and there are multiple members, especially burstier members like Kaisa around, I might not actually come back out. I might just die hopping in there. For now, though, that is going to create, I think, a more quiet early game on the side of Loud, where Croc will want to be tracking where Grell is to make his ganks happen. If anything, I'm looking at Grell to be the Mad Mexican. Get in there. Get stuck in, find those ganks, get those kills, because you are on the stronger side whenever you've got equal numbers.
Yeah. Will be important to note, though, that he's largely going to be focused around getting to that level 6, getting that Impale available, because that's really when you have that playmaking potential. If you can have Impale up and you have captured that closest Spire, then hey, it's my time to shine. I get to do Skarner things now. So just keep an eye on when Grell pings level 6, because that is when he's going to really look to try and play aggressively on this champion. Croc going to get into this bottom river, and Trigo and Damage already trying to secure this, but with Seos roaming up, the Crystal Spire will be captured, Scuttle Crab will be taken. That's Loud controlling the spot side river.
Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting choice. I believe the bot lane might actually be pushing out for Cade Stars, which puts them in a weird position, and that's why they kind of zoom out to make something else happen. Robo has a massive CS lead, hasn't even used his teleport, has dominance available. He can survive this 2v2 unless, there we go.
I don't think he knew that Grell was here. He just walked right into the brush, maybe thinking he could proxy a wave. He's going to flash over the wall, but he's not going to get away. It's first blood for Grell.
We've seen Renektons do a lot of this proxying when they start getting a lead. And Robo, like I said, before Gigo was 6, you can do that. Once he's 6, you can't. He got punished. And we talk about playoff Robo form. That wasn't it. That's first round Robin Robo we just saw.
I would agree with you there. And while the Skarner is certainly no slouch pre-6, that just feels like a gift if you're Grell, right? You're just standing there thinking, I'm just going to take my Krugs, Gigo's fine. It's not like Robo's going to 1v1 dive here, and then all of a sudden Robo is slicing and dicing right at you, and you're like, I mean, sure, I'll take a free stun and a kill here. Yeah, why not? And I mean, Grell is in a wonderful spot now. Dead even CS, has that first blood gold in his back pocket. DKS probably happy with these first 7 minutes.
Well, at least Grell will be. For Gigo,
Sure.
Gigo is still struggling a little bit. He did fall behind about 20 CS before that gank went off. And we mentioned before, Gigo used his teleport to get back in lane already with it. So despite Robo dying there, the 1v1 will not be heavily influenced. Robo is teleported right back into it. He's crushing, he's getting pressure down. No problem. It's on to Grell to try and snowball that lead that he got, that first blood. And unfortunately, Skarner with gold is probably not as effective as a Gwen with gold. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But he got the Sheen, he got the Kindle Gem, and he got Boots. That's not really the power spike you're necessarily hoping for on the team. If he got a Mythic off of that, worth giving first blood to Grell.
The one good thing here for VKS is with those desync teleport timers, Gigo is likely to have his up at 10 minutes. And if this first Drake gets, or this next Drake gets delayed a little bit, I mean, VKS could have priority on making a play and getting numbers unless a Robo wants to roam down initially. Then that gives Gigo the option to maybe stay up and crash a wave and still be able to respond with that teleport. So keep an eye on those teleport cooldowns of kind of how these teams decide to move around the map, because Gigo having teleport available sooner will give some extra options to VKS here as Croc and Robo do start up this first Rift Herald.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because we see Root kind of shade away from that bot lane. Kate Stars are deciding, hey, do we want to actually commit to this? We might have a numbers disadvantage, and their call was leave Trigo bot lane to keep shoving. We'll just see this Herald now. And that might backfire because, yeah, so you're talking about those teleports and the timers there. Well, if Loud has Herald and you choose to TP, they could just drop that in the top lane to let Robo continue pushing. Robo's pushing up. Croc is here this time.
Yeah, Dominus dropped there by Robo, but good damage in return from Gigo. The Needlework doing some
damage.
work, I should say, as damage is going to get locked down thanks to the chains there and the Leota. That is quite the annoying crowd control combo, and Tinones will pick up a first kill here for the side of Loud. Trigo just backing away to the safety of his tower. Loud on the board.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough for damage, and I don't think there was a missing ping called in from the mid lane because of the way Tinones has been playing that mid lane. This is, by the way, before Tinones has even picked up the static shiv, but we've seen him shoving in that mid wave repeatedly onto Greftar, and that's unfortunate. And you kind of knew what you were getting into. That was a LeBlanc first pick. Greftar opted for the Victor, and you know when you pick the Victor in lane, that it is going to be a bit of a struggle to be able to match the LeBlanc early on, at least until you pick up Lost Chapter. And once LeBlanc picks up static shiv as well, she will have early shoves. So Tinones gets a lot of freedom to rotate to these side lanes and is making good on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're picking that Victor for late game scaling, right? Very good in team fights in the late game, and the very reliable wave clear that you bring to the table. You don't need to build a static shiv. You just upgrade your laser, and you're able to very easily clear waves. And of course, you know, when you get a full kind of rotation of spells off in a team fight, you can absolutely nuke some of the carries here on Loud. So keep an eye on that. Greftar just waiting for that timer to come up. Croc up to the top lane. Will be maybe looking for the kick here. Does land his Q, but Gigo able to walk back to the safety of his tower, and the recall will immediately come through here. So look, you were looking for Robo to maybe punish Gigo in this early game, get things going against this Gwen. Hasn't happened through 11 minutes.
Well, he's been punishing, but Gigo has been playing well to not die. Yes, exactly. And Gigo's been doing a great job not dying. And funnily enough, Kate Stars have actually gone for the more consistent late game composition here, right? Like, they have the Victor, they have the Gwen, both will skill incredibly well. Whereas Loud, on the other hand, LeBlanc doesn't skill amazingly, Lee Sin falls off, Renekton kind of falls off a little bit here. So pressure's on Loud to make things happen. And I feel bad for Croc because he's been trying. Croc has been roaming back and forth, just trying to find action. And he can't because his lanes are almost always pushed up. And the one time we did see the kill come down from Trigo and damage pushing out, that wasn't Croc. That was Tinones roaming down. So now Loud, the other alternative you do with this composition is you go for dragon stacking. You go for these early objectives. They took the early Herald. I want to see them contest with these dragons as well to speed up the pace of the game.
And important to note as Gigo and Robo duke it out here a little bit. Dominus will come out. Needlework being used there by Gigo. Solid damage. Good flash to get away from the scissors there of Gigo. And then Robo maybe looking to chase under tower. Good damage in return. Gigo going to stay alive. Look out to clear this wave, but it's a double kill in the bottom lane. Well done, Grell here in this bot river, I should say. Taking out Seos and Croc, and now we'll turn for this Drake. Well played, the VKS jungler. This is looking like a good one.
Yeah, and because, hey, you survived that, and Croc didn't, that should be dragging over to VKS, unless Root and Tinones have a say in this.
Tino's going to walk down here.
Out.
Chains will lock down Grell, and I mean, VKS, no, they don't really have great damage in this 2v2, but with the teleport coming through from Grevthar, Croc looking to respond, but this might, emphasis on might, be enough. Numbers advantage here in favor of Loud, but Trigo may finally arrive to even things up. Teleport is available for Robo. I don't think he's going to elect to use it. Drake picked up by the K-Stars.
Arrow dropped into the mid lane. They're going to try and find this. Now they don't get damage.
Oh, pay.
I forgot about that. we'll get the next one here. So, thank you. I very much appreciate you keep getting that. I was caught in the mid lane. And critical damage stopwatch to keep himself alive. I believe this is the fight while Robo and Gigo were fighting up in the top side here. So you want to take this?
Yeah, just really cleanly locked down there initially. It starts with a dredge line from damage, and while they are able to take out Grevthar, unfortunately the flash there from Seos just seals his fate. They kill the Lee Sin first, they follow with the Leon, and now up to this top lane is Gigo trying to absorb a bit of a tower dive as they're going to lock down this Gwen, but they just don't do enough damage here, and Gigo will survive.
Yeah, I mean, Gigo was full health on that dive, and it's not like Seos is bringing the damage to the table either. He's a Leona, sure, he adds some damage, he adds more CC than anything else. Now, yeah, so something to point out during that replay as well was there's actually a third fight happening, which I don't think we're going to be able to get. So top lane, there was Robo Gigo. Mid lane, there was Croc, Tino, and Seos versus Grell, Grevthar, and Damage. But in the bot lane, Root and Trigo went 1v1, and Root won that on that side. Remember what I said? Kaisa into Xayah has only won 4 out of 15 games, and that precisely is why. So really action across the rift here, and I think K-Stars will be happy with that particular trade series that they managed to get. They managed to get the Dragon as well, which was good, and they didn't die in the following mid lane play where Damage used the stopwatch to make sure he didn't get insect by Croc. So game still on a nice edge right now for K-Stars are still.
They're going to go right back after Gigo here. The kick back from Croc, and that will be the kill secured. Gigo taken out, but VKS here looking to respond. Trigo, Grell, Damage have arrived, and Robo. That Dominus is going to time out here very soon. He's going to get taken out. The kill over to the Kaisa. Good response from VKS.
Good 1-for-1, but Loud pressuring everywhere else here. Root taking the outer turret. Tino soon to follow in the bot lane as well. And macro-wise, strategically, that's a win for Loud. K-Stars need to find more heralds on the table. Could that be what they need to answer turrets?
And that lane dominance just showing perfectly in the tower plate statistics there. 8-2. Dominant from Loud. So much lane pressure that they've had here, and it shows in the income. Over a 2,000 gold lead for Loud here, though that Rift Herald helps out a little bit for VKS if they can maybe secure a tower with it. 2 towers to none here for Loud. Great early game from them so far.
So, yeah, so now the turrets are dropping. Let's take a quick stock of how the mid game went and how it compares to our expectations. Because we had expectations for top lane, and that has been the busiest lane. Gigo and Robo have been going at it. Robo this time, I mean, you heard Gigo in the interview, he hopes, Robo's playing better. Well, guess what? He is. He's up, 45 CS over Gigo right now? And Gigo has been in a situation before he knows he just needs to scale. The rest of the map is interesting, though, because K-Stars did not fall apart like they did the first time with these two teams met in the first round robin. They've been answering back really, really well. And sure, Loud has picked up more kills on this bot half of the map, but
Grevthar is just going to get absolutely nuked there by Croc, and while Grell is able to get the impale onto the Lee Sin, the assistance is not there quickly enough. It's just damage there. And the Nautilus gets taken out, as our friend Hawk likes to say, very lore accurate. Nautilus play there as he will fall. And Loud, they're looking good. They eclipsed that 30,000 gold mark. We take a look at their gold lead over time. Very close through 12 minutes. That have really started to take over those senses. Robo possibly in trouble again. Dominus available. Grell is here. No impale is up. Does have the fracture for the stun. Do they go for the chase here? Yeah, I think they will. Gigo going to take a lot of damage.
They're diving. They shouldn't have.
With the outplay. Can he make it? A 2 for 0 as Grell with the movement speed is trying to get away. Slice and dice is up. I don't think Robo's going to go for it as Trigo has arrived, but well played from Robo.
I swear I didn't cast a curse. I didn't finish my point.
Yep, you're okay.
I was going to make the point that K-Stars were doing really well holding on, right? They only gave a couple of kills, but that just suddenly blew open. The extended lanes favored Loud really, really well, and it's seemingly out of nowhere. They just punish on that bot side of the map where there are no outer turrets for K-Stars. That's not your jungle any longer. You don't get to walk through that, and Loud just reminded them of that. So now Loud have the advantage that they needed to have, that we wanted to see from them, and even scarier. Yeah, this is truly playoff form Robo. You could say last week that, oh, they were up against Liberty, they were up against Kaboom, they're not the most mechanical players. Well, guess what? Robo just survived a 1v2 against Gigon and Grell.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, that play felt like a little bit of desperation from VKS, which is odd because you rightfully pointed out, like, this composition scales very well, especially when you look at what Loud have drafted here, and they just bite off a little more than they can chew. They get impatient, they go for this play on Robo, Grell with no ultimate, and Robo turns it around on them. But we're gonna go right back to the action here as Grell has been caught out. Teleports coming through as Gigo arrives, and so does Robo in quick succession, but that is the VKS jungler down, and Loud with priority in mid lane. Croc looking to go in and catch out Grafthar. Might be a little too deep, but he is able to dash back to the safety of his team as the needlework comes through. Not enough damage here for VKS just yet.
Really strong playback from K-Stars to make sure they don't lose anyone else. Immediate flash from Grafthar once again to stop the insect from Croc. But the problem is, yeah, so we missed the beginning of the fight, but we saw Grell at 100% health when we cut away from that replay.
Sure.
He's the tankiest member of K-Stars, and he still got popped by Loud. If your tank is going to die, everyone else is going to die if they ever get caught. And even more worrisome is that if Grell's dying like that, he can't impale somebody and drag them out easily, right? If you impale somebody, the rest of Loud's just going to dog pile in and kill you, and then get their brethren out of that crystal imprisonment, whatever. What does Skarner do to somebody when he impales them?
What do you mean, like stunning them?
Like, when he puts them in a crystal, is that venom? Is that like secretions from a scorpion? What is that stuff?
Are we talking? We want to know the biology of this crystal scorpion, and I don't know. It's a suppression. All I will say though, I think you make a really good point. The big thing about Skarner is that you and your ultimate in particular are good when you're using it proactively. When you're playing reactively as a Skarner and you're trying to impale them, maybe keep yourself alive, that's a sign that you're in a lot of trouble. So if you're VKS, you want to maybe be a little bit more patient right now and get to that point where you kind of hit some of those scaling breakpoints and maybe start to pull away in that department compared to Loud. But specifically, you want to get yourself in positions where you're choosing the fights, you're starting the plays and setting up Grell to get those key ultimates on priority targets. Because if you're playing reactively, Grell is significantly less impactful in these team fights.
Yeah, and doubly so in this case when there are multiple threats from the side of Loud. If it was only the LeBlanc, right? And then maybe you can still get away with playing reactive, just impaling the LeBlanc as she comes in. Maybe if it's just the Zaya, you can like, try and dive the backline. But when there's multiple threats, suddenly, you don't get to play reactive. If you react, well, Loud's just going to react even harder. And they've got the numbers to be able to pull that off. So for K-Stars, you can see it on their faces as well. They're not smiling, they're not laughing, they're not as relaxed as Loud is right now. They know they're in the hole, and yes, they scale. But the issue is that since the mid-game has rolled around, that's when K-Stars have started to fall apart. It's the recent times which are causing them problem, and I see no signs of stopping from Loud.
Yeah, and the problem is, too, is that Loud kind of has everything that they need to, if they can execute correctly here in the mid-game, they could just end before that scaling even comes online to a point where VKS are really a threat. So that's the thing is, like, you come into this game and you look at the drafts and you go, okay, Loud's kind of on a timer here, but now that has flipped. It's can VKS prevent Loud from running this game over, because they've kind of got everything they need here as we come back from a quick pause there.
We don't know why it paused, but hey, it's good that I didn't find out, because that means the pause went very, very long, and I had time to find out. Now, yeah, so we're talking a lot about Loud right now. I want to take a step back and look at it from a more holistic point of view. Loud is skilling up. Now, you've lost faith in K-Stars. Do you have faith that this is the Loud that we are seeing last split coming into form? Or do you still think that Loud have a ways to go yet?
I think so, especially because I just have confidence that this Loud team, like, I've seen enough this split to believe that we will see them perform in best of fives. And that's a conversation that is starting to crop up more and more as we get closer to playoffs, because that's how it works, right? Best of ones, not even close to the way best of five works, the way teams play, the ability to make adjustments. So many different things come into play when you go into playoffs. And I just have faith that this Loud team has not, forgotten how to play best of fives. We have seen in multiple different games this split, all these players are still just as good as we know they are. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, I think Loud is going to go into playoffs, and they might have some tougher matchups, and depending on if they could secure top 4 or not, maybe they have a more difficult path to get there, but I think they have arrived. They're going to make some things happen. His damage is just going to get jumped on and bodied by Loud here. Maybe they're looking for more. Greftar has arrived. Flash from Tinodes to get away from the trap. Their ultimate will come through from Greftar. A lot of damage on Tinodes. Greftar somehow survives as Grell unfortunately follows the wrong LeBlanc there. And Tinodes will get back to safety. All 5 members of Loud escape for their lives. VKS lucky to only lose damage.
Big ultimates used on Gatestar's side of things, but I don't think Loud can go for Baron. They're going for Vivo instead.
This is VKS getting impatient all over again. Why are you walking up there? Loud pick up another kill as Gigo is down and out. I mean, if I'm Loud, I'm pinging, hey, let's go for Baron here.
Yeah, now maybe you can, because I was going to say there's one big ultimate left for Gatestars in a team fight, and that was on Gigo with his Needlework. Now that's not an option. Robo doing Robo things, stalling out the back, but the ward has gone down. They have vision of Baron.
Robo possibly going to die. Does flash over the wall to get the safety. Baron at 3,000 health. Can Grell get into the pit? Not even close. Baron secured for Loud.
And huge props for Robo going over the wall there. Got baited a little bit. Grell. So one of the reasons why Robo went in there was to stop Grell from using the Hex Flash. Because when you're in combat, that resets the timer on that. There's a cooldown on that. So Grell had no avenue in. You didn't have to kill anybody. You just had to stop them from... Well, you just had to make sure they were fighting you and couldn't actually get over the wall. And from nowhere, Loud again blow this game open. We knew they had a lead, and they are just snowballing harder and harder. This is that clean Loud that a lot of fans were hoping, expecting to see. And for Gatestars, individually, still good plays, right? Greftar almost finds Tinodes. They are still able to trade back, but the lack of vision and, like you said, the impatience from these Gatestar plays right now, they don't have the setup, and it's backfiring hard.
Yeah, for me, it just feels like VKS kind of, they don't realize that if they could just stop the bleeding, they're in at least an okay position, but they keep allowing Loud to reopen these wounds, and it means that they're continuing to, as you said, keep that snowball rolling here, and that's going to be Robo taking it tier 2, Tinodes working on crashing away top lane, which Greftar will be able to rotate and pick up, so some good farm there, but this would be 3rd Drake now to be sole point for Loud, and now VKS on a bit of a clock, because Infernal Soul, it shrinks that scaling advantage that VKS might have.
So, even as that timer is ticking for them, that
Yes.
5-minute timer that you're talking about, this dragon, yeah, so I do think Gatestars actually do need to slow things down. Because
Yes.
they're going to struggle to leave their base. They need to get vision. This is not slowing things down, but it might just work as Seos?
They caught out Seos, and they might get
He's
the
not
kill.
dead!
Seos
Okay, there we
just
go.
goes down to Greftar, but they're able to trade back too. It's Grell and damage falling flash away to keep the rest of VKS alive, but it's a double kill for Root on this Xayah. We mentioned it last time these two teams played. 2 players went deathless. 2 players carried that game. It was Tinodes and Root. Guess what? They're looking for a repeat performance this time around, as Giga will get back to the safety of his inhibitor tower, but it may not live for long.
No, and because they picked up the pace of the game, it's backfiring. Baron is still on Loud, so it's so easy for them to push. Not only can they get this mid push, if they want, they can just rotate top and try and push that one in as well. They are going to back off. 26 seconds meant one wave, and instead Loud just want to go and spend their gold. But this play, it's lack of vision, right? Gatestars don't know who's in the area, and even more disgusting is the fact that because Loud's so far ahead, Seos doesn't die immediately. Heck, I thought Seos was going to live for a second there, and because it takes you so long to kill Seos, Kate Stars were committed to a fight. Loud were closer than they thought, collapsed in and found the extra kills. You killed a support and you traded 1 for 2. You lost a inhibitor turret because of that play from Kate Stars.
Yeah, Loud's definitely dropping a worth in all chat after that one. And look, all I gotta say is I was talking about it earlier. I have lost faith in this VKS lineup, and that's a reason why. The lack of patience, the way that this team, like, when they get behind, it just feels like a mental boom. You know, they make mistakes, and then they, you know, teams snowball leads. VKS snowballs mistakes. They make one, then they make another, and they keep going, and it's why, you know, like, you never really see VKS losing 40-minute games because they get behind at 18 minutes and then they make sure that they lose by 30 here. As they're going to fight again in the mid lane, they finally get a shutdown here on the root, which is huge. Can they get more? Sales likely to fall. Now they have the numbers advantage. What can they do with it? Damage will fall, but they're going to take out the Lee Sin as well. Now looking for Robo. It's Robo and Tinoz versus the world. Robo's going to go gold here. It is going to be a double kill. He's going to make it a triple. Can he get more? Tinoz dashes in. It's somehow a 4 for 4, and just the mid laner survives. Raptor goes down. It's an ace for Loud.
If there were any questions about Tinoz being an MVP candidate, that's just answered it. This man is insane on LeBlanc, and they just mechanically did it. Kate Stars, the start of the fight was good. You were talking about snowballing, and so I thought for a second they might not snowball a mistake. They might actually just flat out snowball at this point. But Loud, mechanically, this is what happens when they're on form. Root dead to start the fight. Doesn't matter. We still have one of the best mid laners, the Brazilian faker, Tinoz, is still here.
Damage going to try and get him away from this tower. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Grell in his back pocket. I have to take the opportunity to ask you, or let's start with the replay. It starts Grell with the flash ult and they delete Root. What happens after RMC?
And they have the numbers advantage, so they just keep kind of rolling people over. The problem is how far ahead Robo and Tinoz are, and great stopwatch from Robo right there to buy a lot of time. His dominance is still ticking, so he's doing a lot of damage to all of Kate Stars plus around him, and then sure, he goes down, he even gets a triple kill, which is nice. He frankly deserves it. But by the time that's done, Tinoz is just mopping up. They don't have a lot of health. It looks like a 3v1 against Tinoz, but let's be honest, only Grefthar had any sort of health. So Tinoz very easily picks up 2 and then wins that 1v1 like he's been doing all game.
I want to ask you a question, but VKS might not give me the opportunity. We'll see if I can sneak it in here as both teams starting to posture around this Baron that spawns in 10 seconds. Robo possibly caught here, does activate the dominance, slices and dices in. Grell looking to back away. Trigo with damage going forward. That is one down, and Robo's going to come back. He's got that GA, and he's coming back into the fight. VKS falling apart. Tinoz takes out Grefthar. It's just Grell living to try and protect the base, and I don't even know if I need to ask anymore. Loud gonna walk right into VKS's house. They're gonna eat all the food. They're gonna lay down on the couch. They're gonna make it their home, and they're gonna take out this Nexus. This is Loud getting to double-digit wins on the season. I think they're back, RMC.
Okay, if the question was, are they back? Yes. If the question is the game over? Yes. If the question is, are Loud good, and are they in playoff form? The